Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a zombie horror film, Alive. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a shot of some electronic gadgets in the room of a gamer boy, short-named Gamer. He wakes up and calls out to his mom, but gets no response. So he gets out of bed and starts his day by washing his face and getting fresh. Gamer sees a letter left by his mom, which mentions she has gone out with the family to get groceries. Now, Gamer sits down to game with his buddies, but they tell him to check the news because something big is happening. Nothing seems to be alarming when Gamer switches on the news, but then the TV goes off and he gets an alert on his phone. It reveals that the civilians of the city have become aggressive and are attacking without rhyme or reason, hinting that Gamer is in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Gamer opens the windows to see what's going on and is shocked to witness the horrible sights happening on the road. Innocent civilians go crazy looking for shelter, while the hungry zombies start attacking them. Even a little girl who meets her mom turns into a zombie and kills her in front of Gamer's eyes. Now, Gamer gets distracted when someone is heard screaming from outside his home. He takes some time and opens the door slowly, but a man rushes inside and tries to take shelter there from the zombies. Gamer tells him to get out of the house, but the man says that his own brother is dead and he has nowhere else to go because of the zombie apocalypse. After a long argument, the man is allowed to use the toilet for a bit, but Gamer states that he must get out of the house as soon as possible. He then switches on the news and learns about the cannibal behavior of the zombies. Gamer also learns that people start screaming and their eyes start bleeding when they turn into zombies. Gamer gets scared and tells the man to get out of the house once he's done with his smelly business. But he begs Gamer for mercy and asks to stay there for one more hour. Gamer doesn't seem too keen on this, and that he sees the man's eyes bleeding, so he realizes what's happening to him. Now he becomes a zombie and attacks Gamer, so he fights him in a brief struggle and pushes him out of the room. He eventually saves himself, but looks outside his peephole and sees that a bulky zombie named Big G has sent the zombie man to meet Jesus. After the opening credits show us the scary process of a zombie transformation, Gamer guards his door with his giant fridge, and then he gets a message from his mom saying she and the family are safe. The mom also asks him not to open the door for anyone, so he decides to check his food supplies. He doesn't have much to feed himself, so he laments that he should have just bought more groceries like his mom had asked him to. After that, Gamer goes to sleep, hoping for this nightmare to be over soon, but time passes by without any progress. The news keeps talking about the zombies, and then Gamer decides to follow a social media hashtag trend, which is being used by survivors in an attempt to alert rescue teams about their locations. Gamer takes a picture of himself with his address location and posts it online. Afterward, he watches a video of an influencer trying a stunt in order to get more connectivity on his phone. The influencer ends up falling to his death, and then Gamer learns from the news that the infected zombies might appear asymptomatic for several minutes. Gamer ties his phone to a drone and uses it to record the zombies above him, but his devices start to run out of power. Even his gaming consoles run out of power, so Gamer is left frustrated and alone, without any electricity or supplies. One night, he wakes up to the sounds of a lady cop fighting zombies on the road. Gamer goes to his balcony and watches as the lady cop gets attacked by the zombies after she runs out of bullets. The lady cop manages to reload her gun, but gets overpowered by the zombies. The lady cop gets bitten, so she tries to shoot herself, but it's of no use as the zombies drag her sexy body to an even larger zombie horde, possibly wanting to make her a zombie queen and breed zombie babies. Gamer tries to distract the zombies by screaming at them, but they ignore his chicken voice and still drag the lady cop to her death, leaving her gun behind. Things become worse when Gamer's screams alert Big G, who breaks his door and pushes the fridge to attack him. Gamer struggles for a bit, but manages to trick Big G into falling to his death after a hectic sequence. However, after repairing his door, Gamer sees that all his food is now wasted, and the screams of people getting attacked start to get to him. Despite the difficulties, Gamer doesn't give up, and he decides to fight for survival. Now, Gamer watches some TV and learns from the news that zombies don't have any heightened senses and also carry out habitual behavior, such as opening doors. He then sees an ad for noodles, which is shocking, considering the situation. But this makes him hungry for noodles. Gamer eats his last supper, which also turns out to be a pack of noodles. But he laments that he has no more food, and spills his remaining water as well. This prompts Gamer to record himself while he talks about his difficulties. He then remembers that he can make a radio using his past experience. However, in order to make this radio, he needs wires, and all his gadgets are wireless. Gamer starts to go crazy as the news keeps telling people to wait for their rescue, but without any concrete evidence of a rescue plan. Gamer starts listening to music and dances like a maniac, after which he has a vision of his family coming back home. He hugs his mom in relief, but learns that he's hallucinating. So he gets frustrated and goes down on the floor after a frantic outburst. Gamer is later woken up by a voice message from his mom as the connectivity comes back for a bit. However, the signal is still weak, so Gamer goes to the balcony, just like the influencer who had fallen to his death. Unfortunately, after all the hassle, Gamer hears his family's refuge being run over by zombies, and it is made to appear as if everyone dies. This causes Gamer to completely lose his mind, and he smashes the TV out of frustration. Gamer goes out of his house and attacks a zombie, after which he challenges the others to comfort him. As expected, the zombies hear his chicken voice and rush towards him for some chicken meat, so Gamer becomes panicked and runs his shitty life away. He then avoids a blind zombie without eyes and carefully makes his way back inside his house. However, the zombies hear the noise and try to open the door in a hectic scene. Gamer holds the doorknob so that he can survive, but at night he sees explosions all over the city and fears the worst for his future. Gamer decides to record one last video message, and then he prepares to hang himself as he has nothing left to live for. However, in the middle of his suicide, he sees a laser light that points at a visual text and asks him not to end his shitty life. Gamer struggles to save himself, but eventually survives, and then he sees a sexy woman named Babe calling out to him from the opposite building. The survivors are happy to see that they are not alone, and then they plan to exchange greetings with each other at 7 in the morning. Babe is shown to be living dangerously as she hides from the zombies with a chair trap to protect her sexy body. The next day, Gamer wakes up late and worries that he messed up, but Babe shows herself with her binoculars and Gamer apologizes. They finally exchange names with each other, but not hormones. Unfortunately, there's a zombie that gets trapped in Babe's chair, so she goes to deal with it and asks Gamer to coordinate the next meeting time with her. It starts to rain, so Babe fills up her bottles and also waters her plants. The next day, as they chat, Gamer reveals that he's hungry for food, but possibly he's more hungry for hormones when trapped alone in the zombie apocalypse. So as to deliver him some food, Sexy Babe decides to throw a baseball to his side with a rope tied to it in order to create a delivery line. However, it doesn't reach him, so Gamer sends his drone to help Babe set up the delivery line. Babe sends some tasty food over to Gamer, and he enjoys the meal flavored with Babe's body smell. But then, he notices that a zombie fireman has found the baseball rope downstairs. The zombie fireman uses the rope to pull its attached table to the balcony, which he can use for support as he climbs up the building, possibly wanting to extinguish the hormone fire upstairs between the two nasty humans. The table hits Babe on the way, so she passes out from the impact, and the zombie fireman begins his climb, obsessed with extinguishing the hormone fire. Gamer uses his drone to distract the zombie fireman, but struggles to keep Babe alive, as the drone eventually gets caught and destroyed by the zombie fireman. Luckily, Gamer is able to keep him off, long enough for Babe to wake up and chop his hand off, causing him to fall to the ground. Gamer motivates Babe to keep fighting for survival, and then he decides to look for supplies. Gamer gets out of his house and manages to find a dead zombie with a set of keys to another house. He avoids a live zombie and enters the house where he finds a zombie corpse in bed. Now, Gamer checks the fridge and is able to find some edible supplies inside. He stocks up on them and also gets some walkie-talkies, which he can use to communicate with Babe. Gamer then finds some clothes and checks out his new outfit, but is attacked by a rogue zombie. He fights it off using his chicken muscles before escaping back to his place. Later, he enjoys a meal and sends Babe a walkie-talkie and extra food flavored with his body smell. She eats the smelly food and radios Gamer to thank him for his flavor the next day. They joke around for a bit, but we learn that she had also planned on killing herself earlier. Anyway, Gamer and Babe decide to make ramen noodles together, and then they get to know each other a little better. Babe reveals she's scared of heights and said she doesn't think that zombies are humans. There's some loud rumbling, and the couple thinks it's rain, but it's actually an army of zombies charging around the building, feeling frustrated over the lack of human meat. Both Babe and Gamer take shelter, but Babe drops her shelf and makes a ruckus while getting her axe. This makes the zombies go to her, but Gamer acts fast and calls her telephone line to distract them and send them away. Now, the couple decides to get together for a mission, and then Babe explains that the 8th floor should be empty as per her observations. The couple decides to unite on the 8th floor, and then Babe drops down to the ground and takes on the zombies with her axe. A lengthy battle follows, but Babe begins to struggle and is about to be eaten with her smelly part. Luckily, Gamer shows up and saves her with his impressive muscles, while also collecting the gun left behind by the dead lady cop. The couple gets together and fights off the zombies, after which they enter the lift. They reach the 8th floor and check the doors, but all of them are locked, and then a zombie arrives like a GPS gadget. He summons the other zombies, which leads to another tense scene. Gamer fights the zombies, but gets trapped, and Babe gets pulled into a house by a Shady survivor. Shady then saves Gamer by dropping a smoke bomb to keep the zombies at bay. Babe doubts Shady, so she points her axe at him, but he says he's friendly and offers them water. Shady drinks it first, so the two follow suit and eat food as well. Shady gives the couple hope, saying that he heard the news mentioning a rescue team coming to save survivors like them. The couple becomes happy, but then Shady shows his shady colors, and we learn that he had drugged the food, not the water. This makes Gamer and Babe faint, and Shady ties up the both of them. He then puts Babe in a room where there is a restrained zombie lady who is revealed to be Shady's wife. Shady wants to feed her, which is why he saved the couple in the first place. He slowly releases the restraints and explains to Babe that she is the sacrificial meal. Luckily, Gamer wakes up and threatens to kill Shady, but he leaves the restraints, so Gamer rushes to hold off the zombie wife. Shady offers to spare his life if he allows Babe to be left as fodder for his zombie wife. Gamer refuses the offer, but loses hold of the restraint, and it seems as if the zombie wife has attacked Babe. Shady goes to check on his wife, but Babe is shown to have survived by blocking the zombie wife's mouth. She pushes the zombie wife onto Shady, who gives an emotional speech before Babe shoots them both, ending their shady lives. The gunshots alert the nearby zombies, so they come rushing toward Babe and Gamer. Babe sees this as a chance to take the easy way out, and she offers the gun to Gamer so that they can end her misery. Gamer points his gun at sexy Babe, but is unable to pull the trigger, especially before not having any hormone yoga with her. Just then, they see some choppers passing by. The couple decides this is their last shot at survival, so they rush upstairs to the roof, hoping to signal their location to the choppers. A tense battle follows with the zombies, but Babe gets stuck, and Gamer has to hold off the zombies with a cycle. However, the choppers seem to have vanished by the time the two reach the roof. The zombies charge at the couple, so all hope seems lost. But then, a chopper arrives with soldiers who save the two while shooting down multiple zombies. The connectivity resumes on Gamer's phone, and he sees messages, which clarified that his mom had survived the earlier attack. That's when it's revealed that everyone's social media posts and hashtags are being used to track their location and save them from the zombies. The movie ends by showing us that Gamer's post had also reached the public, and he changes his hashtag from Stay Alive to Alive. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.